yes, he's my son, but I'm not as eccentric as he is. He's always like, Mom, why don't you get up there and do this? I'm like, I don't want to do that. That is not me. Anyway, so I am really excited about teaching you this. Basically, I want to just share like how Christ is the center of our life, and a way to remember it, and a way to remember how to keep him in the center of your life. So I'm going to draw a little like icon up here. This is Christ, and he's at the center. And then we have squeaky marker. Okay, so that didn't turn out the way it's supposed to. It's an isosceles. I mean,
Not
equilateral.
quite.
It's an
Not quite.
equilateral. It is isosceles, but it needs to be equilateral. So pretend that's an equilateral. So this is what I call the teaching triangle. This is where the Spirit, the teacher, and the learner. Oh, thank you. Okay, so the Spirit is at the top, and the teacher and the learner at the bottom. If the Spirit is with you when you're teaching, then the teacher hears the Spirit, and the Spirit witnesses to the learner. And then the learner then learns from the teacher. But you have to have the Spirit in order to learn from the teacher and the learner. The Spirit has to be there when you're teaching and when you're introducing, when you're talking. And Christ, of course, is the center of everything. So you have the teaching triangle. You're leaving already.
There's an emergency, but she stays.
Okay. Okay, so that's the teaching triangle. And then we have a circle around that. Which is exactly perfect.
Perfect.
Yes, it's the perfect circle. And this is what I call the learning cycle. And if you guys know me, it's all mathematical, and we'll get to that in just a second. And it's knowledge, understanding, and intelligence. Okay, so how many people have read the book Increase in Learning by Elder Bednar? Yay!
Reading.
Good. Well, you'll get some of this then too.
I
because
bought it
it'll
that
be-
day that you told me about it, that same day that this last class was,
Okay, great.
and I just haven't finished it.
Okay. Well, the middle section is this section right here where I got the knowledge, understanding, and intelligence. So there's like it's a cycle that we go on in our learning, and we start out with knowledge, and that's just like secular knowledge. It's where you learn something, you get it into your brain, and it happens here. It happens mentally. It's like going to school and learning all the mathematical figures or the mathematical formulas and the theorems, or going and learning all the dates for history, then going and taking a test, remembering them long enough to take the test, and then once the test is over, you very rarely remember them. Okay, that's the type of knowledge we've got. But we have to start there. You have to start with the knowledge. You have to start with the learning process. The learning cycle starts with knowledge. It starts with learning that. But how do you get it from your head into your heart? Backtrack just a teeny bit. The teacher, I love this about Elder Bednar. He has so many great things. He talks about the scriptures and how he pulls them apart. He talks about how the teacher teaches unto the learner. So I can throw all of my knowledge at this person, and she can take it in or not. It's her choice. It's not my choice. I'm not teaching her. I am sharing with her the knowledge. I teach it unto her. And it's between the Spirit and the learner to bring it into the heart. So the teacher teaches unto the learner, and the learner's responsibility to bring it into the heart. So knowledge, it goes into the mind. Mind, and then how to get it into the heart, which is understanding. And there's lots of scriptures and stuff that we can go through that with. But whenever you see the word understanding, most of the time you see the word heart. So heart and understanding go together. So how do you get it from your brain or from knowledge into understanding, into your heart? And that is, of course, through the Spirit. And it's also, I believe, that the knowledge that we learn, the knowledge that we gain that needs to stay with us is what we are inspired to bring into our hearts, to bring into our understanding. And the knowledge that we don't need often leaves. It often is disappearing. Unless we're told, you learn this or read this book or get this inspiration or go talk to this person, and we don't, then we're missing out. Then we lose out on that understanding that we could have gained. So it's following the Spirit again, following where do we need to go, where do we need to come, and where do we need to gather. And then the last one is intelligence. And intelligence in the scriptures talks about how intelligence is who we are. It's what we become. So it's taking our learning from knowledge, from our brain, into our understanding, into our heart, and making it in part of our soul, our whole body and mind experience.
So are those the 3 stages?
This
When
is
you're
3
younger,
cycles.
0 to 7, you get knowledge of who you are. When you're 8 to 11, you understand and you have the Spirit with you. And then your intelligence is who you become with your purpose.
Yes, you could definitely see it that way. But because it's a cycle, it happens all the time. You can see it as a cycle for your whole life, or you can see it as a cycle on a daily basis. So you can see it as a cycle for just learning something new, or you can see it as learning something or teaching a child from his age time period. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
think the Lord sums it up in one eternal round, and it's a spiral, and
Yeah.
creation is going through that spiral.
Very good. Yes, lovely.
Well, I think that, like, first I get told, and I learn a song, and I have classes, go to primary and everything, and they tell me I'm a child of God. And then, hopefully during those times, there'll be bits and pieces of times when I will feel the Spirit as I'm being taught that. So I've got the knowledge, and now as I feel the Spirit, that brings it into my heart, so I feel it. And then as I understand that, I gain that understanding, when I go out to do something, I become that. I act like I'm a child of God. Does that make sense? So now I've got that intelligence, but you think that's what it is, right?
No, that's great. So once you become it, it is you. So like riding a bike, we all are born with the capacity and the knowledge and the understanding and the intelligence of riding a bike. But we don't remember it. We have to gain the knowledge. This is a bike, this is a seat, this is a pedal, this is the wheels that go around and round, right? That's the knowledge that we have to learn about the bike. Then the understanding. The understanding is looking at other people doing it, but also you have to sit on here, you have to put your feet on here and here, and you have to hold on here, and you have to go forward somehow. So that's the understanding. I understand how to do it, but I don't know how to do it yet until you practice and practice. But it's not really practicing to learn it, it's really practicing to remember. And that's where intelligence is, because we're all intelligences. We're all already there, but we have forgotten, and we're just remembering who we are. We're remembering how to ride a bike. We're remembering how to be nice. We're remembering all these things of what we're doing in parts of life. So that is the learning cycle. Now, and also in Bednar's book, he talks about doctrines. We put this in celestial education, like where, because it fits everywhere, but it would go in the years from 8 to 12 years old, when you're learning the teachings of the Spirit and learning how to follow the Spirit. So you could learn teaching your children this way, but also this is a powerful, powerful tool. He calls it the flexible tool of learning. And I have actually used it with my own children. I'll share a story in just a few minutes about that. It is a powerful way of teaching. So doctrines, what are doctrines? Just yell it out. Tell me what doctrines are. What? Teaching. Okay.
Truth.
Truths. They're definitely truths. Are they ever changing? Never changing?
Never changed.
Never changing. Yes. You have a thought. Not you. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Dee.
I was thinking, just, they're big general principles. I guess it's kind of always something that never changes, like, you don't need to get into nitty gritty, like, just, I'm
Yeah.
thinking of the scripture that says, teach your children, what Genesis says, and let them govern themselves, but teach them
Teach them
correct
correct
principles.
principles.
So there's
Yeah.
not a bunch of rules, it's just,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking.
Okay, yeah. So doctrines are truths, and there's not very many of them. But you look at the first 3 articles of faith, and you can come up with like 4. Okay. So first article of faith. We believe in God, the eternal Father, and in His Son, Jesus Christ, and in the Holy Ghost. What's the doctrine there?
There's 3 individuals with the Godhead.
3 individuals with the Godhead. That there is a Godhead,
Yeah.
right? And each of those names of the Godhead, we believe in Jesus Christ. We believe, and then individually we believe in Him. So there's several doctrines right there. The second one, say it with me. We believe that men will be punished for their own sins and not for Adam's transgressions. What's the doctrine in that one?
Number one, that there wasn't an original sin,
Good.
it was a transgression,
Mm-hmm.
and
That-
we're accountable for our own transgressions, we can't blame it on anybody else, we have to take responsibility.
Correct. It also implies the fall, right? That we have fallen from God's presence and that we need help getting back. So yeah, were you going to say something?
No, it just kind of entered my mind, you know, because we chose this path that Adam had started for us, which is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is the life of knowledge. And I have to laugh, in some Christian realms I've walked through, I heard a preacher once say, he says, I can't wait to get to the other side and kick Adam right in the butt. Because they look at it as a negative start. And it's really funny because, no, it wasn't negative.
Yeah.
It's going exactly like it's supposed to.
It's incredibly
It is.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Even the
Yeah.
bad stuff is perfect. It's just,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and well, and I like what Satan says. He goes, I'm just doing that which is done in another world. Well, yeah, it's already been done. It's already been happening. He's just kind of pushing the gate. He wants to do it himself instead of letting God do it. But yeah, it's the perfect plan, and it's God's plan. So doctrines are truths. They are never changing. I'm not going to put that up there, but remember that. They never, never change. And something else you need to know about doctrines is they only come from the scriptures and from the first presidency. If a doctrine is to be added, or if we're going to learn a new doctrine, then it comes from the first presidency. So they're never changing, and they're truth. And they answer the question, why? Now, who was in the priesthood session? Three of you, 4 of you. In the priesthood session this last general conference last Saturday.
Yeah.
Did you hear Uchtdorf's talk where it talks about the why? You remember that?
Yes.
So what did he say about the why? Do you remember?
Without why there is no purpose.
Yeah. There is no purpose without why. So why are we going to church? Why are we reading our scriptures? Why are we getting married in the temple? If you can't answer the question why, there's no reason for doing it. And he says that's the beauty of our religion and of the LDS gospel is that you know the why. Because we know the why, that's why we do these checklists, is knowing the why. Okay, so the next one is principles. Okay, who knows the difference between a principle and a doctrine?
I know.
Okay. This is something that has eluded me for so many years, and about 5 years ago, I was reading in the manual, I don't know, Celestial Marriage, I think it's called, something about the marriage manual, the manual that the church has put out. And in the preface there, he talks about and describes what a principle is. And for the first time, I'm like, oh, I get it! It was just so powerful for me. So what it is also a truth. And it is also never changing. So that's why it confused me, because they sounds the same to me. Yeah, they're very similar. But the difference is that a principle is a break-off of the doctrine. So, let me give you an example. We have the doctrine of God the Father, and he has asked us to go to church. So the principle to going to church then and obeying God is obedience. There are many different principles. There's probably 100 principles that are
For each doctrine.
For every one doctrine, there's probably, I don't know, 20 to 50 different principles.
I kind of view it that, a doctrine is a truth that stands by itself, in and of itself, is
Good.
itself.
Yes.
A principle is an action that is associated or originated from the doctrine.
Okay.
So it's an action.
It's not quite an action, because a principle still is a truth, and the action comes in the application,
Okay.
in the next.
Yeah.
And I always use principles as blueprints. I call them blueprints.
All right,
Blueprints.
blueprints, okay.
The blueprints match that, that's,
Okay, and the actual building itself would be the application, so, yeah, okay. So it's like the blueprint to the thing, that this is what it is, spiritual creation.
There's doctrines.
Yeah, so let's just add that in. This is application. And is that ever changing?
Yeah.
That's constantly changing, always changing, yes, it does.
I had found out the difference with doctrine and principle is the principle that I can, it's for me. Every time I try to find a doctrine for something, like, the application was go on a mission. That was my application.
That's my story.
Oh, it is?
But you can go if you want to.
He wants to hear your side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do want to hear your side.
All right.
So.
Well, let me
so
finish the
It's
explanation. and then
for
we'll
me.
go on that.
The principle, it's always for you. It's like, it's for you. It's always for you.
Yeah. Okay, so these are ever-changing, many of them, but the principle is the truth, and it answers the question, what?
I'd like to interject there,
Oh, no.
why?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I want to put that there, yeah.
I can remember her, Dr. Laura, I really like some of her teachings, but she once said, a principle's not a principle until it costs us something. So there is a price to taking the application of that principle.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, what is it gonna cost you? Yeah. And it's gonna cost no matter what,
Right.
whether it's good or bad, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very good. And the application, this really is an A, answers the question, of course, how? Okay, so here's a tricky part. This is throwing kind of a wrench, and you'll get this when you're reading the Increasing Learning by Bednar. He says, so if we take the principle, obedience, but couldn't obedience also be a doctrine?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it can,
it's like,
okay, yeah, they interchange. And sometimes doctrines are principles. It can go either way. That's why the church doesn't come up and say, this is our doctrine, and this is the principles, and this is how you do it. Because it doesn't work that way. They intermix and they go into that. There's not one. There's one maybe for your own personal life, with your relationship with God. But there's not one for the church life. There's not, you can't just say, here's the list of our doctrines, or here's the list of our principles.
Well,
Because the principles and the doctrines can intermix.
kind of do that. The doctrines of the gospel, there's the.
There are
actual
set ones,
place,
yeah.
there's an actual set.
But you can't say these are doctrines, but
Yeah.
they also can be principles.
They can't be specific words, but it can.
but there's a law of obedience too. There's a law of the gospel as well. Okay, so, so I wanted to just tell you the story that he's going to tell. So when I first read this book, I was like, does this really work? I mean, yes, I get it, I understand it, this is the how, this is the checklist, and this is why, but why do we do the checklist and stuff like that? That comes home from, he's been struggling with wanting to go on a mission for quite some time, and why do we have to go on a mission? Right there. Right? And he comes home from his, from seminary, and he says, I just don't get it. Yes, it's a commandment. Yes, we have to do it. Yes, I'm like, okay, well, that is obviously a checklist, right? It's something that they're asking you to do. It's the action stuff, the ignition part. And he goes, yeah, and I don't want to. Why are they telling me what to do?
Doesn't surprise anyone, does it?
No. After hearing him, right? So they're asking how, and I said, okay, so that's the application. So if that's the checklist, if that's what they want you to do, then what is the principle behind that? Now, is there 100 principles? Yeah, but you have to ask your child themselves, what is their principle? Because I came up with 3 right off the bat, and I would have taught those 3, but he came up with a different one than I did. And I'm like, oh, this is different. This is his thing, and it was faith.
Takes a lot.
And he goes, faith, and I'm like, oh, faith, of course. Principle of going on a mission is faith. So, okay, so tell me about it. Why did you choose faith? Why is faith the principle? Do you want to say what you said?
Well, it's because it takes a lot of faith to go on a mission.
Yeah.
A ton. Like, you have to know why you go on a mission. You have to know that. Otherwise, no good. No good.
He also said, faith is hard.
Yeah. I do remember that.
Yes.
You have to remember who you are.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
To be yourself, if you're being yourself, you have to remember yourself is a child of God. That is you. And if you are remembering you're a child of God, would go on a mission because that is the core of who you are, to share that.
Yeah.
And that's who you're being.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why being yourself, when he was talking about being yourself and remembering who you are, they're the same. But you have to remember who you were also.
Yeah.
You know, it's just fascinating, because, as you contemplate in your mind and your heart about a mission, if it wasn't for a missionary, because I'm a convert, and if it wasn't for a missionary that taught me, I wouldn't be sitting here today. My whole life would have been different. And it's amazing, though, is when those principles were taught to me, or the doctrines were taught to me, I wasn't converted. That's why I don't like my mentor told me, you weren't converted, you always knew they were true. I said, you're right, I did. Yeah, I had to remember those, and that's what the missionaries do. They find those out in the world.
Genetic makeup to teach you.
Yeah, and so you are gonna be the type of missionary that will affect the people that will relate to you.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
cool.
And if you were to say that, like, 4 months ago, no, it was like 2 months ago that you had. If you were to tell me that, I would have been like, okay, you guys are whatever. But when,
Well, of course I know who I am.
okay.
You had to
But
come
then,
up with it by
after
yourself.
this, when I found out for myself,
And it was an amazing experience. It really was. It was so
Crazy.
powerful. So I asked him, why did you choose the word, faith? It's hard. It's really hard. And I'm like, why is it hard? What is faith to you? What does that mean? And we talked about faith for a long time. And then I said, okay, so what is the doctrine behind faith?
Church for like 5 minutes.
Stuck.
Swear.
Completely stuck. Now, as a mom, it could be this or this or this or this or this, right? I mean, easily you can come up with some. But I knew it had to come from him. I knew it had to come from him. And so I started just asking questions. And that's what we're going to talk about too. Asking questions is so important when you're teaching. So I started asking questions. So what is faith? What do you have faith in? well, you're supposed to have faith in Jesus Christ, okay?
Supposed to. I believe I use that word.
Yeah. And so, okay, faith in Jesus Christ, and I said, so do you have a doctrine yet? He goes, well, is Jesus Christ a doctrine? And I'm like, yeah? He goes, oh. And then it clicked. Jesus Christ is the doctrine. And then we both felt the Spirit so strong, we both started crying. And he said, he turned to me and he said, Jesus Christ suffered for me. For my whole life. That I can easily give up 2 years ago. And that's what hit him. I didn't bring him there. The Spirit brought him there. And now he's committed to go. And we'll see if he makes it. No, it's okay. So can you see how powerful this tool is? You can teach them and share with them and tell them. But when you have them ask when you're asking the questions and leading them, another word that I really love, it's called the leading idea. Okay, you're wanting them to get somewhere on their own. You can take them there if you want, but if you're trying to get them to where you want them, where they need to be, where the Spirit wants them to be, then all you do is guide. You guide with the Spirit the questions to ask them, so the Spirit can teach them what they need to learn. And that's critical. It is so critical. Thank you so much. Okay. Leading ideas, things like that. So this little symbol right here, I'm really quite a visionary, and I think in pictures. So this picture, Christ at the center, the teaching triangle, the learning cycle, all fit within here. They're at the center of everything. All right, so with that in mind, you have that in your notes, right? I want to go on to teaching you a leading idea. A way to teach the leading ideas in school, or in home, or in church, I don't care. So, I want you to all take a piece of paper, a pencil, if you don't have one, and a compass. There's compasses in here for you.
All right, here we go.
Hop on board, this is going to be fun. So, okay. Just pass it down, pass it along. Okay, so what is, if, like, Tina was here the first time, so you'll get some of this will be a review for you. But then the rest of it will be added on, and you'll love it after this. So what's the first way, you say you're a god now. Woohoo, I'm a god, I'm a goddess. Now my job is to go out and create the world. Create the universe. Oh, don't draw a circle yet, Isa. Okay. If you want to practice, you can, I guess, but not yet. Okay, so what's the first thing you can do? What's the first step in creating a universe? Very first step.
For me, I would figure out the way to plan.
Yeah.
The what?
A plan.
Okay, the plan. What would you start with the plan? You're making, to create the plan, you need to start with? Do you remember?
Purpose.
No, not an idea.
The whole reason
The
why.
idea, before the idea.
The assumption to do it.
I go to this, I have to have the authority first.
Okay. But you're now a god, so you have all the authority you need.
But that authority has to come first.
Yeah, oh yeah, okay, yes, you're right. So we have the authority, we are ready to make it, we even have a team. We are a team. And we're going out to make it. The first thing we need to do is we need to know how to communicate. We need to know the language, right? So the language in which we're going to communicate in is the very first step. And the language we're going to communicate today is mathematical. In mathematics, the first, yes, it's the point.
The whole point of it, or, a point? I'm like, isn't that what I said? Okay.
It's a point,
Well, that's
okay?
how the universe started.
That's how the universe started. It started with a point. Okay, so it starts with a point. That's it. That's why we say, I don't get your point. What's the point? The point for what? You know, we say those things all the time because it comes back to mathematical language of starting with a point. Okay. All right, so what's next? Once you have a point, what comes after the point? You guys know geometry? The definition of a point, you get a line. Good. Closest space between 2 points is a line. Okay, so now I want you to draw that on your paper. If you need a straight edge, I have straight edges as well. So what are we drawing? You're drawing a point and a line.
Yes, so we'll LCD all together.
Here's a straight edge. Who wants
So
one?
is this in the
Raise your
middle?
hand, you want one?
Is this in the middle?
Yes, it can be in the middle, yes. It doesn't have to be the perfect middle, it doesn't have to be.
It does
Okay. Unless you're Oracle.
pretend oracle.
Yes. Now, I'm going to invest in one of those compasses that you can do on the board. So mine's not going to be perfect, okay?
Are you still gonna go?
No.
Do you know where they?
I haven't even looked. I think there's a math store down there with the thing that I can do it at. Okay, so let's just talk for 1 minute, now while you guys are drawing your lines, about the tools in which we're going to use. We are using a straight edge. We are using a compass, and we are using a pencil. Now, do you think tools are important in God's language when you're creating a word?
Probably. It's probably a good idea.
Okay, what do you think a compass represents?
How long of a line?
What symbolically would it represent?
Direction.
Direction. Okay.
When you turn around.
When you turn around, good. Okay, so the compass itself is made something like this, right? It first starts with a point, okay? It has a center. Then it comes down, and when closed, it's together. But when it opens, this is represented, this is a symbol of the sun, and these are symbols of the rays of the sun. Open up and bring you light. Now, depending on how much they open up, depends on how much you choose to open them, right? It's also God, or the Son of God, bringing down and pouring down His love upon you. Now, the straight edge, now notice it's not ruler. Okay? Back then they didn't have measurements. They didn't have the inch and the millimeter. They had a straight edge. Okay? This is an ancient times. Straight edge. What would the straight edge represent?
Straight narrow path.
Correct.
Even different. Serious difference.
Okay, so what else?
Oh, I don't know.
Could be some of them, he doesn't know that, he could be some of them.
It could also be direction.
Direction, vision, or.
Now, if you go into the whole armor of God, and you talk about being shod with the preparation, what's important about that, being shod with the preparation of the gospel? The direction of your feet. Where are you going? What are you on? What path are you on?
Correct.
Yes, the direction. Okay, so straight edge, straight narrow path, the right way. You could do it that way too. And then the pencil, what would the pencil represent? Like why?
Because it wouldn't come to pass unless you had something to make it happen.
Yes, exactly.
Or
It brings it to life. Exactly, it brings it to life, so life is a great way, it is able to see it, right? Otherwise, it's just spiritual. You need to physically manifest it. Okay, so those are the tools that we're going to be using. Now, I'm going to erase that, is that all right? No? Okay. All right, well then I'm going to erase this guy and put him over here. All right, so now we have a line. We are at step 2. Yes?
I just want to interject something. I mean, you talk about opening up the compass, and the more you open up, the more razors, but I also like to think of that as intelligence and connection to God. The more you open it up, the more you focus Him and focusing on Him, the more direction you can have to further create a larger universe, because you have the power and the tools necessary to do so.
And we are going to talk a lot in detail about that. You're absolutely correct. All right, so you have this circle. This is now going to be your center point in the circle, and this is going to be the outside. So this is the radius. So I want you to open up your compasses and put the point or the compass here and the pencil here. And I want you to draw a perfect circle, just like I am, around. See, that's perfect.
How big are we talking?
It is big as you want.
That'll fit on the page.
That's what
Yes.
size the planet
Now,
is.
I want you to notice how easy it is to use the compass. Yes.
Oh, wait. Oh.
Come on, how easy is it to use a compass?
I'll check that out. Oh, wait, that wasn't the scheme. Oh, I find it easy.
Well, you already know, I've already taught you.
Oh,
Did you teach me that?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how.
Yeah.
There's
learned it
actually
very well, I
a way
forgot.
to use the compass. And it's not
Bingo.
pushing the paper around. That's what I did too. I'm like,
Oh, it's not?
it's not. I did too.
It works.
Oops. There's actually mechanics of doing the compass.
You can't go all the way around without moving the paper.
No, you don't. Here, let me just, please. Okay, so you put this at the point right here, and you've got this with your hand. It's not like this. It's not like this. It's like this, okay? So you take it and you go a quarter of the way this way, as it leans this way. Then you bring it up and bring it a half turn. Then you bring it down and bring it the rest of the quarter. Okay, so you go half down, a quarter of the way down with it straight up. Then you lean it up and twirl it around halfway up. And then you bring it the rest of the way down as you're going up.
All right, let me play.
Okay.
Okay, the paper turning was easier.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll take that anytime.
And it's okay if you do it this time, but it's just fascinating to me how hard it is to use a compass and how, how they created the compasses in the ancient times that were able to use them quite fast, and easily. And I'm wondering also if we don't have really great compasses available to us anymore, so because we don't use them very often. I mean, schools really don't use them often because they already have them built into their textbooks.
How do you distinguish this, if you're saying a compass, how do you distinguish this from a compass, like a map reading compass?
Yeah, they're the same word, totally different instruments.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you, if you were trying to tell somebody, if you were saying you need here's the list of items you need to have for school, or I
I
don't know.
would say a math compass.
A map compass.
Yeah.
Okay.
What has an instrument?
All right, so do we have our circle?
Yeah, but it's not good anymore.
Well, we're gonna
I'll
change
let
it
it
just a
go.
minute. We're gonna change it. Okay, so we're gonna talk about a few characteristics of the circle. It has a point in the center, right? We have a line, and now we have a circle. Okay, what do you guys know about circles? Think back to your math classes. What do you know about circles?
No beginning and no end.
No beginning and no end. Okay, why no beginning?
Well,
It represents one eternal round, like a ring.
Okay,
But
okay,
in order
so
to make a
this
circle,
way,
you have
this
to
way.
start somewhere.
Yeah, we had to start right here. That's why I'm asking. Do you know why there's no beginning?
oh,
Okay.
For me, it was like, and, start, end.
Okay, well, I'm gonna answer that. So right here is a point, okay? The point, if you were to look up the definition of a point in a geometry book, there is no definition. It says, we are not going to define point, line, or plane, because there is no such thing. They don't exist physically, they only exist spiritually. So if you're starting with a point, the point is so small that it has no height, no depth, no breadth, no anything. There's no beginning. Okay? Okay?
Yeah, but it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating, yeah. Okay, so you have the point, then you have a line. Then you have, and you're right, the beginning, there's no beginning. And then if you were to take the circumference of this circle, it would be ever ending, right? Pi, 3.1415, blah, 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 dot, 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 right? It never ends. It goes on eternally. So it is no beginning and no end. What?
That's how you get to, you multiply something by that to get it.
Yeah, you take the radius
Right.
and you say how many times it goes around the circle, and it goes around the circle 3.15.
Right.
That's how you get to pi. That's how you get to pi.
Wait, you get to my house?
You
You
know,
take-
if you take the letters pi and put it in the mirror, it's 3.1.
Really?
Have you not done that?
No,
Oh,
I did not know
I gotta
that.
show you that when we go.
Okay.
So,
No, I did not know that. Okay, you take the diameter, so from here to here, right? You wrap it around, like I say, it's this piece of string, and you wrap it around the circle, and then you take the other side, and you go around the other side, you'll get 3 and a little bit.
oh my
Do
goodness.
you get that now?
I got it, I remember hearing in math class,
I never
doing
went through
that
that.
same thing. but
Yeah,
I-
that's how you do it. The diameter going around the circle is called the circumference. And if you were mathematically to figure that out, it is a never-ending number. Cool,
Wow.
huh?
How come they don't teach it like this in school? Like, seriously?
Good question, good question. Okay, so there is a limit to the circle though. Can you find the limit?
The limit?
Uh-huh. There's no beginning and no end. But what's
Well,
the
it's in
limit?
between that, when you did the 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, but in between there's that, and the beginning,
There's a limit right here,
yeah, right there, yeah.
okay?
You can only go so far.
Yeah. This is up to you. And this is like, tell me your name again.
Oh,
Vicky, okay. Vicky said that it's up to you how much light you let into your life. This is your
Depends on
limitation.
you.
It depends on you. Yes, okay?
How
Now
much
there's
love
also-
you're taking in from.
Correct, correct. Okay, so there's also something else that I call the pi. And I don't know if it has a technical term or not, I have no idea. So this is me, and this is you, and this is them. Okay? Yeah. So I,
Hey, can we call it pizza?
because it has pepperoni on it.
Whatever that is.
Okay, so I want to, this is my life, and this is your life, and this is their life, right? And this is the realm in which we are living in. And I want to become bigger. I want to become better. I want to grow and expand my life. So I'm going to take it from you. Now I'm bigger.
Hey, this is the idea of, if I become a billionaire, people have to lose money.
Yes, it's corporate. It's a corporate belief. If I want something, I have to step on other people to become that way. Yeah, it is. It's in teachers, the teacher's realm. I'm a teacher at the charter school, and I'm like, in order for me to get a higher level ground, I have to degrade other people.
Yeah, but it is like
It's
that,
not
it's like
true
if you,
in God's life.
if you have a job in
Have you seen the Celestine Prophecy, the movie?
The what? Say it again.
The Celestine Prophecy?
Sales D?
Celestine,
Oh,
the Celestine Prophecy. And the movie illustrates it very well and very quickly, if you're interested in the book. But the movie is about stealing people's energy. And that once you gain the source, that's why people intimidate, that's why people, like you're doing, moving in, I have to make you less to make myself more. And if you get the source, you don't need that. You don't need to take, and you can actually give energy and be building people up. And they show it visually, so you can actually see that in action, and they kind of just do this little energy flow thing that.
In Hollywood did this?
Yeah, it's a very famous book. The Celestine Prophecy, and then there's the 10th Insight. It's a series of books. It's a novel, but it's very, very fascinating. They're addictive and
No.
To read.
I want to interject. Some novels are okay if they're teaching principles.
Yeah.
Okay, just so you know,
Yeah, okay.
we're in a mastermind, a writing mastermind, because we're writing books. And one of the things we discovered that we didn't even understand, even though we did so much of English growing up and everything. But there's, you have fiction and nonfiction. Well, not all. A lot of things we think are fiction aren't fiction. If technically they're nonfiction, if they're teaching a principle, if they're taking my idea and I'm trying to have you understand my idea, but I use a story, it's still nonfiction. So it could be a novel in nonfiction.
And that's what this is.
Yeah.
And it teaches some really good ideas.
I'm gonna look into.
I wanna write a book.
Okay, back to your pie, because
Okay.
I know you're not done.
I've read
No,
this.
I'm not done. Is this a true principle?
No.
No. Is this a God principle? No.
Whoa, wait a minute. If I get a job at McDonald's and I say, okay, here's the thing, I'm gonna start way low. And then, okay, well, I'm better than you, so I'm gonna become the new manager. That means she has to get fired. How does that work?
Or what?
Or she can
Become
partner
the
up with
manager
me.
at a different McDonald's.
Or she becomes the manager of several of them. Or she goes home and becomes a mom, which she's always wanted to do. Or.
Either way, you have to display.
Yeah.
Instead of you going over them,
Exactly.
you go up, they go up.
I had a 2-hour discussion like this. That's the reason why I'm just like trying to understand this. Is
Well, people think.
I'm still listening.
Okay, so instead of smashing you guys, or smashing them to make myself bigger, I'm going to grow out to make myself bigger. Now, is that a true principle? Wait a minute, is that a
No,
perfect circle?
No.
It's not a perfect circle.
There's a bump now.
That's thinking outside the box.
Outside the circle. Okay, the law of the universe says that you can't just make the circle bigger in one area. The circle, and this is a principle of the circle, and this is a number one principle, equal expansion.
Oh, that's what I only understand. In every, this is what we're talking about, direction. Okay?
Well,
That's the first principle of the circle. Equal expansion in every direction. So if you push out and become better yourself, you automatically improve everybody else's circumstances.